Sorry, go ahead.
Being an official language, if English is the official language, what happens to those, 5.6%, in my state that do speak Spanish,
They
and,
should
very
learn.
poor English. Why?
So if they don't speak English, what should we do for them? Should we learn Spanish?
No, I don't understand why we should,
Nobody's forcing them to learn it, but that's
You just said they should speak English. Why
I
should
said
we?
I said they should. I never said they should be forced to, but what I'm saying is it'll make their life easier. Why if you had a business? If you had a business,
I'm literally trying to. You're asking me the questions I'm trying to answer.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Why should they speak English? Because that's their culture. Why should they let go of their culture? There are tons of different cultures in America. There are tons of different immigrants that come, even today. And in the 1700s, there were, I don't know, something like 26 different newspapers, all printed in different languages, just in New York City.
Is that what you're suggesting for today?
No. If there's a drive for something, then that should be quenched. If there's a large Spanish population in, say, St. Louis, then St. Louis should be like, hey, maybe we should have a Spanish newspaper. If the people in that area,
you can have multiple official languages. And
yes.
Spanish is a huge language in the United States because there's
yes.
a lot of Spanish-speaking people. So it doesn't just have to be English; it could be Spanish too. In Israel, the official languages are Hebrew, English, and Arabic. Exactly. Which the majority of people in Israel speak Hebrew, but they still consider the other languages official because they're so major.
Right. But, you start getting 2-3 languages on a slip, and that starts getting tacky. South Africa has...
Because then 12, you have to translate for everybody.
South Africa has 12 different official languages. It's tacky.
Right. So wouldn't just having English be easier?
Wouldn't just having none be easier? Because then you don't
No, because we already, like you said, in the de facto, we already do have one.
Yes, but if there's a Chinese immigrants and they don't speak a lick of English...
How do you get all these likes if there's nobody here?
There's one person.
Oh, I thought you were pressing your own or something. Sorry, go ahead.
Now you got a few. But why should Chinese people that may not speak a lick of English that just have come here and they live in Chinatown, so they don't know anyone that does speak English? Well, why should their legal documents be in English? You can't learn English in a day. Finding an Chinese speaking English lawyer in Chinatown, good fucking luck.
So what's the solution?
Whatever the people speak, if there's a large population like in Los Angeles.
So their documents should be in Mandarin?
I wasn't done. If there's, a large population in Los Angeles that speaks Spanish, their documents should be in English or Spanish or whatever the defendant or forgot the other word, starts with a P.
I didn't interrupt you this time.
I understand. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The people in the case, languages should be there, and then English, I guess. But it shouldn't just automatically be English, because what if they are in Louisiana or in Los Angeles where everyone speaks Spanish?
But you saying it shouldn't automatically be English is also asking the people that have to write these documents and the people that are surrounding those people that don't speak English to adapt to their language.
Okay, so what if
that's what it would demand in order to have those documents be printed in a different language.
So let's say
I wouldn't expect you to use Google Translate for that.
So let's say in Los Angeles, there's a Mexican couple, and they get pulled over. They get a ticket. They go to court. The judge speaks Spanish. The lawyer speaks Spanish. The jurors speak Spanish. Everyone speaks Spanish. It's L.A. They're going to be... Spanish is very common. So, why should English be on the paper if there's Spanish too?
Because it's de facto official language.
But in that case, it's not de facto. In that case, Spanish is de facto.
Well, if you're making an official language, it would be a federal issue, not a state issue.
Yes, which I'm also against.
So you think it should be a state issue? In that case, it might as. I mean,
it is a state issue.
You're trying to say because of that, we shouldn't have an official language.
The United States of America should not have an official language. Whether each state wants to have one, that's fine. But to have English and Spanish as like national language, they don't speak Spanish in Alaska. They don't speak Spanish in Hawaii.
But they speak English.
They also speak Hawaiian.
But many of them, I would assume the majority of them speak English.
In some butt-fuck town in Alaska, I would bet money they don't speak English. In Juneau and Anchorage, they speak.
But that does not concern the majority of the United States.
But why should those people be ostracized from
They're not.
The rest of the country? Well, if English is the official language,
because they live in America, where the majority of people speak English.
But in their town or in their home or whatever, they all speak Inuit.
Then the solution is within them, not within. They should fix that. I think they honestly should fix it. I think they should learn how to speak English.
Why?
They should adapt because they live in America, and if they want to move to another state or another town, they're gonna have to speak English. You can't.
Necessarily.
What if they have to move because of circumstance? What if there's a war or anything, or there's a situation where they have to live in a different place they speak English? They can't expect them to speak their language.
No.
If you go to China, you're not gonna expect people.
China and America are very different.
Okay, but what's a similar place to?
There are so many languages in China.
Well, that's because they have different dialects.
They have different languages.
I don't think many people in China speak Korean.
You're right, but some 12 million people speak Wu Chinese. Some 12 million people speak.
Those are very small percentages for the amount of people they have.
I bet.
What is it? 1.3 billion.
It's quite a few.
So that's 1%.
All right, let's go with it. All right, so should I just do India or do China?
No preference.
All right, so I guess Mandarin, 14.1% of the world speaks Mandarin Chinese.
How about this? How much percent of the world speaks English?
5.52.
Of the world.
Of the world.
Isn't English the official, the universal language?
No.
French used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't English now?
No.
If you watch the UN, what language is it in?
English, French, Russian, Portuguese,
But
Spanish.
it's mainly in English. The first person to talk speaks in English. The director speaks in English.
Okay, the first person that talks at the Olympics speaks French.
Well, the Olympics and the UN are a different situation.
Which one? One's, all of Europe, one's all of the world.
Well, I didn't know that about the Olympics. I didn't know that.
I understand. So 80 million people speak Wu Chinese. 59 million speak U Chinese. 48 million people speak Jin Chinese.
Well, they're all just different dialects of the same language.
No, Cantonese, Mandarin, and Wu and Jin are completely different languages.
I'm just. I got you.
But anyway, comparing China and the United States, China is a communist state. The government can say whatever the fuck they want and completely ignore people. The Soviet Union was the main language. Their official language was Russian. People in Turkmenistan speak Russian.
What'd you say?
Turkmenistan.
Where's that?
In the Middle East, where Armenia is, and not Armenia,
Turkmenistan? I've never heard of that country.
It's a real country.
I'm just curious because
It's by Uzbekistan and
my parents are from Tajikistan, near Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, but I've never heard of
maybe it's Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan.
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
fucking same. But
They're
anyway,
not. They're really not. See, come on, man. Don't
well,
say
all
that.
Chinese aren't the same either.
I didn't say that. I said their languages are similar.
You said that there were dialects, but a dialect in a language is different.
Well, I didn't realize prior.
I understand. A dialect is how you say the word. A language is, or an accent is, a language is a completely different word.
The main reason that I think that the United States should have an official language of English is because the majority of people in the United States, whether there are small towns or not, with it, speak English. There has to be some sort of official language so you know what to base your documents on, your constitution on, your government on, etc. Because that's what the majority speak. There has to be a set language and there is a set language, it's obviously English, that we base legal issues on. Because otherwise we're not going to get anything accomplished. You're not going to have it in 32 different forms of the language. You're not going to have the official constitution written all over a wall in different languages.
Okay.
And that is why we have English, because it sets a standard. It sets a medium. It sets something that everybody uses. The majority of people use. It is official. It's unfortunately they don't have it as a status, but we have to have some sort of way of making it official because our documents are official in English. So our language should be official, that being English.
Okay. So you said that our language has to be official or whatever.
Because of legal documents.
Thank you. So America right now does not have an official language, right?
Right.
So our
You froze.
legal documents in English.